here is the tier list. Now there's only like 9 shows. I recently got a puppy, and when you get a puppy, you kind of have to take care of it. It's shocker. I've been basically staying home, and I stay home already. I work from home, you know, all that stuff. And so I've just been staying with my puppy, sitting on my couch with my laptop, doing work, but also watching sports shows and other stuff like that. And so I've just decided to compile a list of sports shows that I've actually watched, and then I'm gonna rate them on what I think of how good they are actually. Like, are they actually like giving me entertainment? Are they informing me? Let's find out though. First things first, or not first things first, that's one of the shows. First Take. Now this has Stephen A. Smith, who most people know, you know, he's like a kind of a meme of a guy. He's very much a character. He's very charismatic. He's entertaining. The show used to have Max Kellerman, who I think is no longer on the show. I've watched it a handful of times. It's usually not my first show I go to. I think it's a middle of a ground show. I think people may prop it up too much because of Stephen A. Smith. I don't think Stephen A. Smith is necessarily A tier material, but like he's entertaining. I'll give him that. But I think the actual content in the show itself isn't the best. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Good Morning Football is about as generic of a football show as you can get. Nobody's really interesting. Honestly, it might be C tier. C or B tier. Nobody's like super interesting in this show. Everybody's a pretty normal person. It's either middle of the ground or bottom. C tier, middle of the ground. I'll put middle of the ground. It's like the most generic football show you could get if you really just like don't even care about personalities. PTI. I used to watch, Pardon the Interruption is what PTI stands for. I used to watch it a lot as a kid when coming home from middle school. I haven't watched a ton lately, but I watched like one episode a few days ago. I don't know. I think it's like C tier. It's really not that like compared to everything else, all of this, it's not good. It's really not that great. Speak for Yourself. Now, I'm not sure if many of you guys know Speak for Yourself, but basically, okay, so all of this is basically like Fox shows and ESPN, right? I think that's all of them because this is ESPN, this is NFL Network, ESPN, Fox. Speak for Yourself though. Speak for Yourself. I never watched it before until lately, like these past 2 weeks. I've seen it before then, but these past 2 weeks I've watched a lot, and honestly, it's an S tier show. I highly recommend it. It's actually a really good show. These guys are super entertaining. They're very high energy. They're very charismatic. They're very cool guys. They dress nice and they speak like normal human beings, and they stand up and they do like cool little segments here and there. And they talk about one thing a lot of some of these shows miss out is they talk about like everything. Now, I'm mainly a football fan. Like, I like basketball. I don't really care for baseball. Any given Sunday, at most, there can be 16 games because there's 32 teams. But with buys, it's usually like 14 games, 15 games. And a lot of these shows talk about like 1 or 2 games. And we will get into that soon. But Speak for Yourself talks about like everyone, basically, for the most part. Obviously, you can't get to everyone. But they make the rounds. And the people are super entertaining. I love the show. Honestly, it's my new favorite show. SportsCenter is about as generic as it gets. It's literally the sports show for someone who likes sports but doesn't have the time to watch these shows. And I think that's perfectly fine. And I think Good Morning Football is basically the same thing, but primarily football. SportsCenter is obviously like the flagship show of ESPN, and it's on there 20 hours of the day on repeat. And the thing is, I might move it to C tier. I have like this sickness that I get with watching SportsCenter. I used to watch SportsCenter so much growing up as a kid. Cause like I would come home from like middle school and I would have a little routine. I would go and turn on the TV, watch SportsCenter, then I would watch PTI and then Around the Horn, or Around the Horn then PTI. It was Around the Horn then PTI. I would watch all of these though. I was really into sports back then. I don't know why. Maybe I was more active back then. I watched SportsCenter so much, and now it's like when you eat something so much and then you just like become sick of it. And so it's basically what it is with SportsCenter now. I like can't even watch it anymore. It just makes me sick looking at it. It looks the exact same as it did like 10 years ago when I was in middle school. Honestly, C tier. I think it's a C tier show. The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Now, a lot of people don't like Colin Cowherd, and I understand that. He's a very polarizing individual, but when it comes to quality of show, honestly, A tier. He actually knows how to put a show together. He has really good segments. He's a really good talker. I know, like, he's kind of weird. He makes these weird ass analogies that make like no sense half the time, and sometimes he has really bad takes. But I think he puts on an entertaining show. I think he knows how to put on a show. You know, I'm not like a fan of Colin Cowherd, but I think he is interesting. At least he has like a good voice, and he knows how to talk. I just think he knows how to put on a show better than most of these people. And so for that reason, I'll put him in A, because I think he does put a good show on. First things first. A tier. First Things First is a great show. And they have like 4 people on there now. It used to be just 2 people. It used to be Chris Carter and Nick Wright. And then Chris Carter, like, I don't even know what happened to him. He just like dropped off the face of the earth. But First Things First is a really good show. Once again, it's similar to Speak for Yourself. They talk about everything. They don't just focus on 1 or 2 things. They talk about everything, and everybody on there is pretty cool. I think none of them are like just an annoying person that you couldn't stand. I find it very entertaining. I think everyone on there. I think it's got Chris Broussard now, Nick Wright. What's the white guy's name? Kevin Wildes. All of them are all pretty good, and they all like they have a good tandem is the word. I don't know what it's called. Yin and yang, I don't know. They bounce off each other really well. Let's talk about Around the Horn though, before we get to Skip and Shannon. I've saved that for last because I want to talk about that, but let's talk about Around the Horn. Around the Horn, it's like B+. It's B+, A-. I haven't watched it a ton as of lately. I watched it a ton as a kid. As of lately, I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes. It's a B+ show. It's special because it's the only like game show out of all of these shows. It combines a sports show and a game show. You know, it's got points, scoring, it's got a judge, and it's got players, and everybody's trying to win. And at the end, you win by getting like a minute to talk or 30 seconds, I forget, something like that. Where you get to say something, I don't know, you care about? I don't fucking know. I used to watch a show all the time, and it was my favorite. I thought it was so cool. Basically, the way it works, it's 4 people and one judge or one host, and he poses a question. He says, who's winning this game and why? And so you have to explain why the Rams are beating the 49ers, which they did. So you got to explain that. You got to defend that point, or they explain it, make a case for it. And depending on how good your point is, the judge will reward you points. And so there's something funny about this. There's something funny about this because this is a really good show, and I used to love the show a lot. But I'm only giving it B+ because I think it is a B+ show. I think it's entertaining, but it is a little tacky. But I do need to show you guys this video. If you've seen any of my YouTube videos, maybe one in particular, I have talked about the Call of Duty League, which is the franchise league for Call of Duty esports ran by Activision. They decided a part of their, I don't know, esports plan that they would make a show, like a sports show, an esports show for Call of Duty. And so they made this show called Contesting the Point. And this show is horrible. And simply because they tried to basically copy the formula of Around the Horn, but didn't really get the point. They didn't really get how it worked. They just like saw one episode, but they didn't really think about it deeply.
Being that this is the first episode of Contesting the Point, let's reveal the rules of the show. We're going to take a look at a story from the Call of Duty League. I'm going to give an opinion, probably a bad one, on the story, and then I'll assign one of these guys to defend my opinion while the other guests will have to attack you. As I hear a good argument, I'll award points. And after 3 headlines, whoever has the most points wins and gets to pop off on the Golden Astro headset.
Okay. Now, if you heard that correctly, it is literally around the horn. Basically, the host proposes a question, and then, well, in this case, a hot take, but proposes a question to the two contestants, or two contestants, I guess. I don't even know what you'd call these guys, commentators. And ideally, they would give their opinion on it. And then the host would give points to who has a better opinion with more info backed up on it, or whatever. I don't know. However, if we look at these rules, the thing is, it doesn't make any sense, because so the host, Malik, will present a topic and give a hot take on it. So he's basically proposing a question and then answering the question in a hot take kind of way. He's just answering it. And then he talks about it. He decides who defends him. He will assign one of these guys to defend his opinion. So he's making the contestants forcibly making people defend his opinion, but not even knowing their opinion. Like, you don't know what their opinion is. Maybe they don't agree with you, and yet they have to defend it. Which is, what kind of crackhead format of a debate show is this? Let's see what the first question is.
My hot take is Envoy was the MVP of the London event. I think that's a pretty solid opinion. But Nameless, I'm going to make you defend this one. Tell me what you think, man.
Yeah, it's not even a hot take.
Okay. Here's the problem. They were so close. All they had to do was say, like, do you think Envoy, it was the MVP of the event? And then let them discuss. And then let it happen naturally. Maybe they agree, and then maybe they don't agree. Who knows? You know, that's the point of the show. Maybe they agree, but it could be like, now they talk about who's a good runner-up, who's right there next to him, who could also be in the conversation of MVP. Instead, he's like, I think Envoy should be the MVP. And then it's like, I think I'm gonna let you defend my point, okay? Yeah, you. It's literally a brain dead version of Around the Horn. It's literally if Around the Horn was ran by children. I can't believe they made that into a show. Put a set together. Put a literal set together. Got this all set up. A green screen. Everything. And they didn't even think about that this was the dumbest fucking idea ever for a show. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If anybody wants to see how ridiculous this is, I would suggest just looking up Contesting the Point, any of these episodes, and just watching them. I'm pretty sure they adjust the format in later seasons. Or not, like the next year they realized that it was stupid. But it's just so funny that this ever existed. But that brings us to Skip and Shannon, Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Skip and Shannon is a very popular show. All right, a lot of people like it. Shannon and Skip, both very interesting and charismatic individuals, strong opinions, they talk loud, they have lots of memes made about them. Honestly though, they are overrated. They're an overrated show. Huge time. These fools, while they are interesting, talk about nothing but the Cowboys, Tom Brady. What else do they even talk about? LeBron James. That's like it. They repeat those things every single day for like 3 hours. They have like a 3-hour time block, and that is all they talk about. And I can't even watch them anymore. I used to watch these guys all the time. Quick story. As some of you may know, I am a software engineer right now. All right. I work from home. I'm a software engineer. But before that, I was in college. And in college, I worked as a maintenance worker, which I called myself a facilities assistant. But basically, I was kind of just a janitor that painted sometimes, that built some desks sometimes, that power wash sometimes, that did some maintenance things sometimes, killed wasps, stuff like that. And I could wear like AirPods during my day. And I literally, it was a college job, so I would wake up at 8, or I would work from 8 to 10 every morning, Monday through Friday. And I was allowed to wear headphones, AirPods in. So I'd put AirPods in, and I would clean all the bathrooms, because I was basically just a janitor. I'd clean all the bathrooms, but I'd have my AirPods in. And I would listen to Skip and Shannon the whole time. You can go on YouTube like in the mornings usually before YouTube takes them down. If you look up Undisputed Live or like First Take Live, stuff like that, you can like watch this stuff live. People live stream it on YouTube all the time. I'm not sure if they still do, but they used to. And so I just listened to them all the time. Dude, it got old. I mean, after a while, I was like, wow. They talk about the same shit every day, don't they? And like, what the funny thing is, I've watched it. The thing is, I'd listen to it through my ears, so I could never really see them. These past 2 weeks, I've been watching it with my eyes. Skip does not like Shannon whatsoever. I don't know if anybody has noticed this. They may fist bump at the beginning of the show. Skip fucking hates Shannon. He literally like can't wait for him to stop talking. Skip literally, every time Shannon's talking, it doesn't even look like he's paying attention. He's literally like, yeah, can I talk? Yeah, okay, okay, shut up. That's literally how he is all the time. I'm telling you, if you just watch it, he just like does not care of anything Shannon's talking about. He's just waiting for himself to speak. Here's the tier list. It's actually kind of uniform in some way. Looks like an E with a little hat on top. Bottom of the barrel, you're looking at Sports Center and PTI. PTI used to be good. I think it fell off. Overrated show, Skip and Shannon Undisputed. I'm sorry. I used to watch it all the time, okay? And I still watch it here and there, but it's hard to watch when they talk about the same thing every single time for like 3 hours. And then middle of the ground, you're looking at like First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Good Morning Football with all of these people. I honestly know none of these people's names, but they're people, they're normal people, and they talk like normal people, and they just they just talk about football. You're looking for B+ Around the Horn. I think it's a good mixture of like game show and sports show mixed into one. And then A lot of people don't like The Herd with Colin Cowherd because I think people hate Colin Cowherd. And the thing is, I should hate Colin Cowherd, right? I'm from Iowa. I went to the University of Iowa and I graduated from there, and I've gone to football games. And he called Iowa like the fake driver's license of college football or whatever, the fake ID. Honestly, he was right. I'm sorry to admit it. I still think Iowa cheats their way into like a good record every year. And I'm an Iowa fan. I root for Iowa every single week. But I can still criticize them because goddamn, Iowa... this is before I get in a rant about Iowa football, but like... he is out there sometimes, but I think he knows how to run a show. Like, I think he knows what he's doing when he's making a show. And then first things first, I like Nick Wright a lot. I do. He's been a little crazy with the Chiefs of lately, but I find him pretty entertaining. Along with the other hosts, Chris Broussard's a pretty cool dude. I never really knew who Kevin Wildes was until now, but Kevin Wildes is cool. And Jenna Wolf, obviously they give her the female treatment of sports shows and just let her sit there, but still, I think that's a good show. I think sometimes more people is actually better than less people. And then Speak for Yourself, I highly recommend it. It's a really good show. Both the guys, Marcellus Wiley and Emmanuel Acho, bring a ton of energy, and I think they're just super entertaining individuals, and they talk about everything, and I think they give good takes, and they hit you with stats, and they talk really well and smooth, and it's really entertaining. I don't know, I've never heard of it before, like a year ago, until like last year I think I started watching it a little bit, and then these past 2 weeks I've been watching a lot more. Here's my tier list. Obviously there's a ton more sports shows out there. Like there's like the Pat McAfee show. I've never watched a single episode of Pat McAfee. But that's my list. What do you guys think? Good, not good? Doesn't matter. But yeah, tell me. Let me know.